today I'm going to be talking about life hacks and really on decorating for the holidays. So these are some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years with helping out the stores decorating for the holiday season. I'm also a buyer, so a lot of these things I buy for specific reasons, and maybe it's sometimes hard to translate those to our amazing customers, but hopefully today I can kind of help with some of those decorating tips and tricks. The first thing I want to do is talk about trees. Lifelike trees have become so popular and so lifelike. That's why we call them lifelike. We don't like to use the term artificial because they look so real nowadays. So this one I shaped up the other day, and that's kind of what I want to talk to you about, is shaping some of these things. I know we've got a lot of cut greens in, and the real stuff is amazing, and I definitely recommend you using it. And we're going to be talking about a lot of that in the future. But if you're using lifelike or artificial or fake, I don't like to use those words, but if you're using lifelike, they can last for years and years and years. And a lot of us, and especially me, probably didn't know really what to do with them and how to shape them. And so kind of what I've discovered over the past 5 or 6 years really, as I've been buying these these lifelike trees and wreaths and garlands, is they take a little bit of experience to kind of shape correctly. And there's a method to the madness. And so it's kind of what I always tell people is when you go to shape a tree or shape a lifelike wreath or garland, they are designed specifically to be shaped a specific way. Now you can always shape them however you like, but there has been a lot of thought put into how to shape those and how to make them look very realistic. And so that's kind of what I want to talk to you about real quick is how to shape a lifelike tree. This is, I think, a great little skill that really goes a long way. So what I've done is I've actually taken a branch off of a lifelike tree so you can see kind of what they look like. And so maybe this will help you show, and then I'm going to shape a little small section of a smaller tree so you can see it as well. But lifelike trees nowadays typically are going to have a nice molded tip on the end. So you're going to get this molded tip that looks very realistic. They can do a lot more with this. So they can actually shape it, they can color it, they can do lots of different things. They can model it right after a real life tree, which I think makes them really realistic and really lifelike. And then you'll see the traditional material back here, which you'll see in wreaths and garlands, but also in our trees. And they use that really more as a filler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and shape this branch for you so you can kind of see how to shape a tree. And then I'll pull out another section and I'll show you. This one I've taken the lights off of. It's just a bare branch. But usually when it comes out every year, it's a little mangled up and you got to touch it up. Especially if it's a brand new tree, it's going to be super tight. And I'll show you that when I pull out the new section of a new tree. But what I want to do is, what I usually do is I'll start with the back and I just take what this is a shredded PVC basically. And I'm just going to take it and flare it up. So I'm going to kind of hold it at this angle and see if you can see it like that. And all I'm trying to do is create a full effect back here in the back. So I'm just pulling these straight up. I mean, I'm literally pulling them straight up and trying to create a little bit of a half moon kind of coverage, basically. Trying to fill in those gaps. So we're just pulling these up. And this is kind of a weird tree. This was not really the most full tree. It was designed to be kind of open. But you'll see what I'm talking about when I do the next one. So all I'm doing is just kind of touching up on these tips, making sure that they're all, sometimes too they'll come twisted. So you can see that, how this is the back side of that needle. And really you got to twist it so that the front side is up. So that can sometimes happen. So you want all your needles kind of facing up so it looks very realistic. And there you go. And as you can see, as you look down through, you can see your lifelike tips here. And you can shape those, again, however you really want. But that's how it's designed to do, is kind of be open and have it. And then this is your filler that creates that full effect. So it's kind of a cool way of doing it. So let me show you on a tree. Now every tree comes with a stand, and this is a great little trick too. I'm going to try and do this, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. But every tree comes with just a metal base, a metal stand. What I like to do is put my screws in, but not all the way. I want to put the screws in so the stand can't close, but that there's plenty of space. And then we'll pull out my section. So this is just a small 4-foot tree, but hopefully this will help you see kind of what you're dealing with when you're looking at a lifelike tree. I like to always plug in my tree at first too, just so I can make sure it's working. Also, if you've had a tree for many years, you might be able to go through and see if there's any bulbs out while you're shaping it. But this is kind of what I'm looking at. And then look at this. See, I can spin it. So now I can sit down if I want to and really get into this tree and really show you how to kind of set it up. But when it's able to spin, it's real easy to kind of go and sit down, especially if you're working like on a 7.5-foot tree. So when I was shaping this tree, I sat down with the bottom section, maybe even the next section, and I was able to kind of see in there, save my back a little bit of trouble. And because I'm able to spin it, then it's real easy. And then when I'm done, I'll go through and tighten up the screws so it's nice and sturdy. But let me show you if I can. Hopefully I can. And you can see here, these branches are brand new tree. It's got the lifelike tips here on the end, but it's got that filler material in the back here. But it's all kind of bottled up. So it looks like, you know, if I just put this tree up, it wouldn't look real good. So hopefully I can show you kind of real quick how to shape these. So what I like to do is start with the bottom branch. So you can see that branch. And I'm going to just pull this back material up, straight up. And I want it in a, again, kind of a half moon pattern. So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. And we're just pulling this up. And then as I kind of get to the front of the branch, I'll kind of lean them a little bit more kind of facing me. So as I kind of shape up my branch, we'll just kind of do that. And then what I love about these new trees is these lifelike tips really come out every year nice. They don't really ever get bent up. They don't break or anything like that. So they're going to last a long time, which is great. But they also have a pattern built into them. And what that means is, so this one, let's see, I've got 4 branches. So let's see if I can figure out what the pattern was intended to be. I would think that it was probably 1 on each side, 1 kind of up, and then 1 kind of at us. So there we go. We've got that nice, full, really lifelike tip. So now let me kind of go through and do these other branches so you can kind of see. As I keep pulling this material up, it's creating a very full effect. And then I've got my 4 tips here up. And see, another thing that I like to do is try and challenge myself to touch every single piece. So if I can touch every piece, then I know I've got a nice full shape. So I've got these 2 that I'm going to pull to the side, then 2 kind of separate, kind of facing me. So there we go. And you can start to see the fullness of this tree start to shape up. And so I always tell people, you know, when we do our trees here in the store, we don't spend a lot of time shaping our trees. So if you put a lot of decorations in your trees like we do here at the store, you don't have to spend that much time shaping your tree. It really, you know, once you start to pack in all the ornaments, it really won't matter that much if you have a lot of holes in the tree. And in fact, sometimes I'll go through and I'll shape my tree and I'll go back and kind of scrunch it back up because I want to kind of open up some space. So let me keep turning this so you can see what I'm doing. And I usually like to go through and do all the bottom branches first. Kind of depends on how you like to do it. And then we're just going to separate our tips. So hopefully you can see kind of what I'm doing there. And you can just see how full that is. You can almost not see my red shirt here on the other side. And once I complete this back side, you definitely won't be able to. So we'll go through them real quick, and you'll get really good at this. You'll get real fast, especially, you know, if it's facing you, you'll get real fast at being able to kind of touch up your tree. Each year, it comes out very nice, and this filler material really creates that nice full background that really fills up your tree and makes it look very realistic. So we'll just go through and touch up all these. I'll do these real quick. Again, kind of creating that half moon pattern with my filler material. And then just pulling apart my tips. And you can get real fast at it, as I have over years of doing this for about 10 or 15 years. Shaping these trees. It's so much fun. And they look so realistic. So let me just touch this one up here. And you can really start to see that you can't see through the tree anymore. I mean, because of all that filler material that I've pulled up, I got one more branch over here. So I'll do that one for you so hopefully you can see. Pulling it up in a half moon pattern, almost straight up vertical. As I get towards the end of the branch, some of that filler material, I'll have it pointing forward a little bit, and then I just separate my tips in a pattern that I think makes it look realistic. And again, that's kind of personal preference. Some people might flare it all out. Some people might lay it flat. So you can do a lot of different things with these trees too. They're all movable metal. So you can really kind of change the pattern of how you want your lifelike tips. But now you can see, you can't even see my hands over here. They just disappear because of how full this tree has become just by me shaping it up a little bit. And so you can get these trees very realistic, very full looking, just by taking some time, figuring out the pattern, and just touching it up how you like it. So that's a really kind of, I think, a great trick on how to shape your lifelike tree. And then I'll go with the next section, and then the next section, depending on the size of the tree. A 4.5 foot tree like this only is 2 sections. A 7.5-foot tree is typically 3, maybe 4 sections, depending on the tree. And then 9-foot trees are 4 to 5 sections. But they're all so easy to put together nowadays. A lot of ours have power in the pole. They're so cool. You got to come in and check them out just to see how amazing they are. But like I said, our trees that we keep, that we sell, our Lifelike trees that we sell, we'd spend a lot of time shaping them so that they look very realistic. But a lot of the other trees that we decorate on the floor, we don't spend as much time because we put so much in them. So if you're putting a lot in them, you might not have to shape them as much. So then all I have to do is just tighten up my stand so that it doesn't come off and it stands nice and straight. And then there we go. If I put the next section on, I'm done. Ready to roll. So that's just a great little tip on how to shape a lifelike tree. Move that out of the way. And then what also you can do with lifelike trees is my ribbon trick, which I absolutely love, is taking ribbon and putting it in the tree. And so what I like to do is a lot of times we try to wrap this in with the bolt. And so yeah, that will look good going in the first one, but trying to get the bolt of ribbon in, back out again, or if we just kind of stretch it, it typically looks like the tree is being kind of strangled a little bit. So what I like to do is actually just cut off some pieces that I want. So at the top of the tree, I'll start with a smaller piece. So we'll just cut that off. And then I just take it and I just tuck it in. Tuck in a piece, let it pop out, pop back in. Real easy. Then I might cut off a slightly bigger piece of ribbon for the next section. And then again, just kind of tuck it in, tuck it in. And there you go. You get that really pretty look, that very simple, easy kind of way of decorating your tree with ribbon. Ribbon really adds a lot of texture, a lot of color. It helps with a lot of themes. So if you're doing like a beach look, maybe burlap looks really cool in a tree. And as I go down the tree, I'm just cutting bigger and bigger sections. And that is the best trick that I've ever learned here, is how to decorate with ribbon. And this applies to wreaths, garlands. You know, anytime I'm using ribbon, if I just want it to look like it's kind of popping in, popping out, then cut off some pieces. Don't try and actually wrap it in, because that becomes very difficult. And like I said, it really does create kind of like a strangled look, like the tree is being strangled a little bit. So let me put this one over here so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. So it's super simple, looks very realistic, looks like you really went in and kind of wrapped all that ribbon in there. So let's see, maybe add one more piece just so we can get the look going. A little bit of a smaller piece. And what I sometimes like to do is follow a pattern. So I'll come here to here, and then I can go right in underneath it, and just like that, and it looks like it went in, came back out, and went back in again. So really easy way of decorating with ribbon. Also, what I love to do is put some picks in my trees. So I've got this really pretty red ribbon pick here, red berry, and it matches my red ribbon. So maybe I'm doing kind of a theme tree here. And what I like to do with these is, again, these are all movable, so you can kind of spread them out, kind of get that full coverage with them, rather than just being all packed up like this. Spread them out just a little bit. And then I just kind of look for a branch, and then I just follow that branch right into the tree. And there you go. Super easy, and it just kind of pokes in and pokes out, and it gives you a really cool look, really fills up a tree, and it really can add to a theme or a look that you're trying to go for. So again, just kind of spread out my pick, find a branch, follow that branch down, and bam, looks just perfect. So let's do a couple more of those. Now spread this out a little bit. When I first kind of started working here, I kind of said, that seems unrealistic that people would actually use picks in their tree, but I love them. I mean, I love how they look in a tree. It just adds a natural look, and it's super easy, and it really fills it up. And like I said, if you're doing a theme, like I could do a red theme on this, cardinals maybe, some birds, this would look amazing. So look at how that's just coming to life there. It's just awesome. Spread out my pick, and then just pop it in. And there we go. And you can go further in if you want to. You can leave them kind of popping out like this. I love to put my ribbon on first, my picks on first, and then I'll go through and put all my ornaments on it. It's a great way of decorating a tree, especially if you're doing a theme. Picks are awesome. There's so many different choices of them. You can put them in a vase. You can put them in a wreath, a garland, a tablescape. There's so many uses of these picks. And so I definitely recommend using them. And then you can change them every year. You know, maybe I don't want to use them in my tree next year, then I can use them in a wreath or a garland. You can cut them if you wanted to. They're also movable, so you can always bend it if you need to make it shorter. It's bendable. If you want to put a little wave into it, lots of different things that you can do with these Lifelike picks. They're so cool, and there's so many uses for them. So life hack, know how to shape your tree. Ribbon in your tree is an awesome, easy way of adding some texture and some color, and just cutting off pieces really makes it easy. At the end of the season, I can just take it out, I can fold it up, I can throw it in my box with my ornaments, and then next year I can pull it right back out again and just poke it right back in. Real simple, very, very professional look, and it looks so cool when it's done and you kind of have it popping in and out. You can do it vertically, you can do it lots of different ways. And then using picks to add some color and some texture as well is a great thing to do with your trees. Also when you're doing a ribbon or a wreath or a garland as well. And then my last kind of little hack, my little trick is love Lifelike trees. What do I miss out of a cut tree is the smell. So I don't get that amazing fragrance that I would typically get with a fresh cut tree. But if you're converting over to a Lifelike tree like I did cut trees for most of my life, but I love these Lifelike trees and they're so easy. I can put them up anytime that I want to. I don't have to water, I don't have to worry about anything. But if you want that cut tree smell, we carry these Sensicles, and these are awesome. So this is just a little ornament, basically. It's a little stick ornament. Comes with a little hook in there. And so all I have to do is, smells great. This one's called White Winter Fir. It smells just like a fresh cut tree. I think these are awesome. So I can just hang these in the tree. They disappear. So you see that little green stick, put it in the tree, gone. Disappears, but my tree smells amazing. So these are great little Sensicles. You get, 6 in a pack. They are awesome, $9.99. And we've got lots of different fragrances as well. So we've got, I think, 3 different other fragrances. But I love this White Winter Fir. It smells just like the real thing. Real easy to use. You could also do potpourri. We've also got the smell of the tree, kind of potpourri and sprays and different things like that. So you can still get that smell and get the realistic ease of having a pre-lit tree that looks so amazing and lifelike. And hopefully shaping it is going to be a lot easier for you now, because you understand that all you're doing is flaring up that back material to create that full effect, separating your tips so it looks very lifelike. Find the pattern. There's always a pattern. Try and challenge yourself to touch every single tip, and you'll have an amazing lifelike tree when you're done. All right, so let's keep talking about shaping things, because I think this is kind of cool. I talked about this when I did my wreath and garland webinar, but I think this is a great tip as well. So when you pull out a lifelike wreath every year, this one's a nice one. It's just kind of that shredded PVC again. But a lot of us go and flare every piece straight up, and you kind of get a weird look out of it. But what I like to do is, usually when you get a wreath, it's all kind of compacted down like this. And it's all going in one direction for a reason. If you were to make a lifelike wreath or garland, then you would that's how you're going to put it in. So when you see me make a real wreath and garland here in the next couple weeks, you're going to see that's how they lay each bunch in. But on a lifelike wreath, we typically try and flare everything up and try and get a full coverage. But really what you want to do is continue that pattern all the way through. So you can see this section that I haven't done, and you can see the section that I have done. You can just see how easy it is to actually just kind of keep that pattern going. So I'm going to turn to the side here and hold it up and finish this up. And all I'm doing is just making sure that I'm straightening every single piece. I just want to be able to get the full effect of each piece, but I'm keeping it going in that pattern. So I don't want to flare it straight down. I don't want any pieces coming straight down. I want them continuing to kind of go in that pattern of heading in the same direction. And again, challenging myself to try and touch every single piece so that I can really get the max effect of this. There's some short pieces in here. There's some longer pieces. There's some darker green pieces. So it looks like the lighter green tends to be more towards the center, and the darker green tends to be more towards the outside. So I'm going to try and keep with that pattern. And just real simple, just kind of touching each piece. And there we go. Real easy. And sometimes every year I'll take my hand and just kind of run it through so that it stays in that pattern. And now my wreath looks very, very realistic. You can see it in this wreath behind me as well. Different texture, different look. It's more of a frosted pine, but you can see all of those pieces are going in the same direction because that's how a real wreath would be made. So shape it that way. Don't flare it all up. Don't make it look kind of bushy and full, especially if you have like a storm door or something that's going to smush it. Keep it in that pattern. Keep it going all in the same direction. and you'll have an amazing looking wreath just by touching up each year that way, and just by shaping it and just kind of, like I said, challenge yourself to try and touch every piece, and you get that really nice full look. Same goes with a garland. I know a lot of us probably pull this out every year and say, oh man, I'm going to use this again. It looks so bad. Well, these do fall apart over the years, so sometimes it might be time to replace it. But what I like to do is go through, and you can see me doing it right now. I'm just going to go through and try and get all those tips going the same direction, because that's how you're going to get that really full look. Laying it down on a table is a great way of doing it. You could also hang it if you wanted to. I like to shape it before I use it so that I know that I've got a nice full effect. I'm going to probably mess it up a little bit as I kind of start to use it to decorate, but I can always go back and touch it up real quick. It's real easy. But what I like to do is get all my pieces going the same way, because that's how a real garland would be made. And then I'll show you here how I will separate them out. So what I do is I flare them a little bit, but I also have some going straight up and down. Sometimes it's kind of difficult to tell what is the front and what is the back. There's always going to be kind of a back side of a garland, because you're going to put it on something typically. So I'm going to put this on a wall, I'm going to put it on a table, I'm going to put it on a mantle. If I'm wrapping it around a banister, then you're still going to have that back side that's going to be touching something. So let's go through this real quick, trying to challenge myself to touch every single tip. And what I want is just to keep them all going in the same direction, and then I'm trying to fill in those gaps. So again, I'm also looking for a pattern. Let's see if I see one coming along here. Looks like we've got a couple different colors in here, maybe a lighter green and a darker green as well. So hopefully you can see that as I'm kind of going through and shaping it up. It looks like the lighter green typically is staying towards the middle. So that's what I'm going to try and do, is keep that towards the middle. And garlands can get a little twisted over time. So kind of making sure that you're getting it twisted back to the right side really does help kind of keep it nice and full. And there we go. We can start to see that shaping up and looking very realistic. See, I've got a piece here that got wrapped around the back side. So I'm trying to get it all on the front, and then I'm trying to create that really nice full effect so you can see how pretty that's looking just by shaping it up a little bit. And if I went and pulled everything to the side here and I tried to pull it all out, it's going to look not realistic. So if I take it and I pull it and get it all going in the same direction, it looks really good. Now, if I was going to use this on a mantle, then maybe I would take it and separate it in the middle. So what I like to do there is just take it, put it in the, find the middle point, kind of bend it down the middle, and then I would take all these branches on this side and try and force them the opposite direction. So all I'm doing here is just kind of forcing them all down this way, so that when I get to the middle of my mantle, I can have all these pieces going this way and all these pieces going this way. So you've got, it looks really nice and full going each direction. So it's guiding your eye, the center of your mantelpiece, it's going to guide your eye there, and then it can guide it to the left and the right. If you have it all going the same direction, it can tend to kind of guide your eye across the banister rather than seeing the full effect of it. So hopefully those tips kind of help you with shaping your garland each year and your wreath. There is a reason that they put all the pieces in there the way they did it. Same with a lifelike tree. There's a lot of different ways of shaping them, but they're very easy, and there's almost always a pattern that you can kind of follow and kind of see as you go through it. Now let's also talk about lighting these. I love my lights. I love to light up the holidays. There's a lot of great tips and tricks out there. One thing that I definitely recommend for garlands is measuring your garland. If you're going to put some lights on it this year, just take some time, measure your garland. If you're coming in to buy a garland, typically they're going to be in 6-foot lengths or 9-foot lengths, 9 being the most common. So I always like to know that, because sometimes you can buy lights that fit perfectly into that. And I got a couple this year that I absolutely love. This one is a micro LED cluster light. It is absolutely amazing. There's 480 LED lights on this string, and it's 9.8 feet long. So it will fit perfectly into a garland. So all I got to do is just lay the garland out, kind of separate it down the middle. I did a whole video on Invisilights, and you can go back and watch that. But I use these, and these are amazing in garland. Basically, you just take your garland, separate it down the middle, lay them down through the middle, kind of tie your garland over top of it, and these shine so bright, 480 LEDs with a plug 9.8 feet long. Also, I carry these cluster lights, which I absolutely love. This is 448 lights on 10 feet. So again, if I'm using a garland, all I have to do is lay these right in there. It's got a nice dark green cord, hides right in there, but I've got 448 LED lights in my garland. And so sometimes you can find lights that are specifically designed for garlands because they're the same length. Now wreaths, there's a lot of different lights you can use on wreaths. I absolutely love Invisilights, battery operated. So typically my garland I'm plugging in, but a wreath, I'm usually hanging on a wall or a door and I need a battery operated light. And I absolutely love these. This is a battery operated Invisilight, a micro LED light. Comes with a battery pack. It's water safe, it's waterproof, so you can use this inside or outside. Comes with a on and off. The first click makes it a timer, so it'll be on for 6 hours and off for 18. The second click is just steady on, and then you can turn it off. And so this has a little hook on it, so I can wrap it into the back of a wreath. But what's really cool is, you probably can't quite see it, but this is on a very thin wire, but it's a green wire. And so when I use this in a wreath, so I'll pull my wreath back out so you can see. Now this one's already got some lights on it, but what I want to show you is how quickly they just disappear. So you can see, kind of almost see that wire, and then you put it in a wreath and it just hides. So all I have to do is just kind of wind this through, super easy and done. But what I also love using micro LED lights on is plants, indoor plants. So I got this little Norfolk Island pine, and I want to show you just how easy this is to decorate a Norfolk Island pine using these lights. Now this is 60 LED lights. It's on 20 feet. So it sounds like 20 feet is going to be kind of long, but actually you'll use it up pretty quickly in a little tree like this. And plus, if I can get 60 lights on it, I'm happier. They also come in 20 light sections, but these are just awesome. And I don't really actually go through and wrap all the branches. I'll just kind of go all the way around the tree, kind of tuck it in, tuck it out. But really, I can just kind of let them just kind of be there. I don't have to worry too much about doing it perfectly, because it's just going to look awesome, and that wire just disappears. They also come in silver wire and copper wire, which means you can match a kind of decor or look, or maybe you want to show off the wire. I think it's kind of fun to show off the wire sometimes. But the green one is awesome during the holiday season because it can just hide right into any greenery. And especially like this little tree here, I'm not spending a lot of time on trying to wrap every single branch. I'm just letting it kind of go in there. Now I could go through and wrap everything. But like, let's say you've got a fiddle leaf fig or a ficus or something that you want to put lights on for the holiday season, then you can just easily put these in, take my battery pack, kind of hide it right there, and there we go. I've got this great little Norfolk Island pine. You can't even see the wire. It is awesome. It just disappears, and it looks like all these little dancing lights all over this tree. Super, super easy, fun for a kid's room, or if you've got a lot of indoor plants, then you can line them up for the holidays, and it just brings some cheer. They come in multi, they come in warm white, lots and lots of different uses for these micro LED lights. One of my favorite ways to decorate. Lanterns, wreaths, all over the place. So I use these everywhere. They're awesome. So I definitely recommend trying some of them this year. All right. So that's how we can do lighting, and now we know how to shape our tree. We know how to shape a wreath or garland. It's something that took me a while to learn, but it's a very helpful tip to kind of know how to shape things. There's a pattern to it, so know what the pattern is, try and figure it out, and hopefully that helps you. All right, so the next thing I want to do is, I know we all dream of a white Christmas here in Hampton Roads, and unfortunately we rarely ever get it. I think I maybe have remembered 2 of them in my life. So white Christmases don't come very often, but we all have windows in our home. So I've got this piece of glass here to represent a window, and what you can do is frost them. So this is kind of a cool technique. This is a Santa snow frost. So this is for glass, and it wipes off at the end of the season. It's real easy to use. It's not going to stain anything. It's not going to hurt anything. So I'm just going to shake it up, make sure it's mixed up real well, and then I'm going to show you a quick technique on how you can decorate some windows around your home for the holidays, so you can kind of get that kind of cool frosty wintry look for Christmas Day. So one technique is just to kind of frost the outer edges like you would typically have on a frosty window. So I like to kind of do a little pump action, so you can see it kind of frosting up the corners there. So now my window is looking very frosty and festive. See if I can do this without messing it up. there we go. I've got a little frosty window now for Christmas morning. Kind of looks cool. Now what you can also do is get some stencils. These are new this year. These are really fun. So I can take this stencil. I've picked out the snowman. So we'll pick out the snowman stencil here. And these are so much fun for the kids. We have a big bay window, so I think we're going to do this year, is use these stencils on that bay window. So let's see if I can do this. So again, just kind of using that pump action. I don't want to put it on too thick. I just want it to look like frost. All right, and then we'll take our stencil away. And there we go. We've got a frosty window with Frosty the Snowman right in there. And there's lots of different things. There's Merry Christmas, there's a Santa. So in this pack of 32 stencils, you get lots and lots of different things. You get flowers, you get a candle, a stocking, lots and lots of different things. And the snowman is awesome. And it's just a great way of kind of decorating the home for the holidays. And it wipes off at the end of the season. If you mess up, all you got to do is just take a wet rag and it just wipes right off. Real easy. Really cool way of kind of decorating the home for the holidays. Just kind of something new that we've tried this year. So we've got the frost, the snow frost, Santa snow frost, and we've also got ice crystals. So this is kind of fun too. The ice crystals kind of make it look a little bit different as well. I love the frost. It's really easy to use. And you can do a lot of the windows around your home, and you can just do it around the edges for a frosty look, but you can also get some stencils, and they look really cool for the holiday season. So that's kind of another little life hack that I know lots of us probably didn't realize that we can do with our home. All right, so the next one is poinsettias. So poinsettias are very popular during the holiday time frame. Of course, I love poinsettias. Bring a couple home every year. How many years I've dropped a poinsettia is hard to explain. How many times I've lost a branch or something like that because I was just not very smart. I dropped it or something ran into it as I was decorating, or the kids or the dog knocked it over. So lots of things can happen to a poinsettia. I'm going to show you how to spruce one up. Now this one looks great. The first thing I want to do is add some light. I love lights. And so really I want to show you how to decorate different decorating tricks for a poinsettia. Real easy way of kind of adding something different to a very kind of traditional plant that we have during the holiday season. Our poinsettias are in, they're gorgeous. They come in pinks and whites and marble, and of course the red, the traditional red is awesome. So this is, again, those Invisilights. This is called a cluster or a waterfall light. And so you can see that. It all comes from one point, and there's, I think, 8 strands in here. So there's a lot of lights. This is what the pack looks like. So it's 40 LEDs in this little package here, and they all come from one central point. And what I like to do with these is just to add a little brightness and a little bit of color to my poinsettias, is I'll just drop this centerpiece down into the center of the poinsettia. And the pack also comes with a battery operated, so it's battery operated, so we don't have to have a plug, but it's also got a timer on it. And then I just take my little piece, my little strands, and I just kind of take it and I'll wrap it around the flower. I'll let it just kind of poke up there. Lots and lots of cool uses for this. You can use these in lanterns. They're awesome in lanterns, on the mantelpiece, but also in plants. I mean, they're just awesome. So this will add a lot of color. Now it comes with a silver wire, which I think is cool, kind of shows off the color of the wire. We used to carry them in green, but now we just carry them in the silver because the silver is so much more fun. But it's a cluster light or a waterfall light. Really is cool. And so this is just a little Invisilight. So again, I just put it down in the center, and then I'm just separating out my pieces. And then what I'll do is I'll usually go through, and I'll kind of take it around the flower nice and gently, kind of right around the bracts. And then I'll just kind of give it a little twist and let it just kind of pop up, just like that. So it's just kind of got a little flare to it. So we'll take it around another flower here. Nice and gentle. I don't want to break anything. As I've said, I've done so many times. And look at that, just kind of pop it up. And you can do this a lot of different ways. You can also do this with branches. So I could take a pick, and I've got 6 little, or 8 strands that I can use to just kind of, work around different objects. So there we go. Just like that, I've added a lot of light to my poinsettia. A lot of fun, very easy to do. They don't really have to be specific. You don't have to do anything special with them. You can just kind of let them flow. You can wrap them. You can do whatever you want with them. But I love lights, and I love to add some to my poinsettias each year. Really, really fun. Now, what happens if I break a branch, or maybe my poinsettia is starting to kind of look a little weak at the end of the season. Let's see what I can do to kind of add a little bit of flair to it, a little bit of fullness to it, and I love using cut greens. So I've got some Fraser fir here. I'm going to pull out some of that. So as we get more and more of our cut greens in, then I'll be doing a lot more demonstrations on how you can use cut greens, because they're so easy and they're so fun. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my lights out for now, just so we don't have anything kind of throwing us off. I would probably put the lights in last. All right, so what I can do with some of this Fraser fir is I can just take little pieces, little twigs, little branches, and I can put it in my poinsettia just to add some fullness to it. And all you got to do is just push it lightly down in there, and then you've got this great full effect. So let me see if I can do this on the front so you can see. And I like to cut my branches at a little bit of an angle if I can, so I've got a nice little sharp point there. I couldn't find a bad poinsettia. I went around, looked around, looking for a bad one, looking for one that maybe got a little roughed up, but I couldn't really find one. So that's a good sign. They all look very, very good and very, very healthy. But like I said, sometimes I'll bringing them in my house, and I'll accidentally drop it, or something happens over the month that I have it in my home. And so I'm always looking for ways to kind of spruce it up as we get towards the end of the season, maybe, or again once I get home, if I've messed something up, then I've got an option here. And so having some fresh greens around really helps add some different texture, different color. And I like to use these upside down. So instead of putting them in, so Fraser fir typically is going to be kind of like that. So if I put it in upside down, I get a little bit more of that blue color, and it looks really, really nice. And it kind of flows right out. So you can kind of see that there. So let's say I lost a branch. I can go back and fill it in with some of this greenery. It looks really, really nice. Now you can do it with a full poinsettia too. I mean, it just adds a little bit of color, adds a little bit of texture. So there we go. And then what you can also do is add some pine cones. So I love to use pine cones. All you got to do with a pine cone, I mean, a lot of us have pine trees in our yards or in our neighborhoods, and you can go pick up some pine cones. These are great. If they're closed up, it's because they're wet, and then just let them dry out and they'll open up. But just take a little piece of wire, you can barely see it, but just a little piece of wire, and just wrap it through. And then just give it a little twist. And then twist it all the way to the end. So I'll just take my two ends here, keep on twisting. And then I've got a nice pick that I can now use. So I can just straighten that up, and then I can just pick this right in there. So there we go. And I can just do that all the way around. And it adds a lot of fullness and a lot of nature to my poinsettia. So just a great way of adding kind of a different look to your poinsettia. Very, very easy to use technique. And you can do this with a lot of different plants. I mean, maybe you've got a philodendron or something around your home that you just want to spruce up for the holidays. Adding lights makes it awesome. You can add a lot of texture and color with fresh cut greens, and then throw in a couple pine cones to give you that realistic look. And so I can go all the way around this, add all my fresh greens, add all my pine cones, and I've got a great looking poinsettia all the way through the holiday season, especially if you find that you've made a mistake and something has broken off. So this is a great, great way of kind of doing that. Let's see, I think I've got a question. So Deborah says, what do you recommend for windows with small window panes? So small window panes, you can still do the same thing. If I had like a bunch of different panes in my window, or just smaller ones, you can just lightly frost the edges. And then in this stencil pack, I didn't punch them all out, but there's some small little stencils if you want to use them. So there's like a star, there's a little ornament, there's snowflakes, there's lots and lots of smaller stencils. It's not a full page stencil on each one, so you can get lots and lots of different looks. So this is a really kind of cool way of doing that, and adding some frost to your windows. All right, so then kind of one of the last tricks that I want to show you, life hacks, is in that light realm as well. Is every year when we go to pull out our lights, it's no fun when they're in a big ball and it's a big mess. So let me kind of clean up my workstation here. So every year, you know, we pull out our lights and it's this big mess. Well, these are really cool. These don't tangle. So let me turn them on so you can see it. So here we go. I've got this LED light, really pretty light set, but it's in this big knot here. But these are really cool because they don't tangle. So these lights are an inch apart. So there's 1,000 lights. This is what the box looks like. So 1,000 lights, 74 feet long, and there's so many different uses for this. So I can use these inside or outside, but they don't tangle. So look, every year when I pull this ball out, it just comes right undone. Really easy. Look at that, just every single year when I pull it out, they don't tangle because it's a twisted wire, so they're twisted up. Whoop, you can drop it, but they don't get tangled. And every year they just come right back out again. Look awesome every single year. Very, very easy to use. Really cool light, and it comes in a lot of different lengths. Now we've got 500, and then we've got 1,000 lights, and then now we've got 1,500 and 2,000 lights. So again, always take some time, measure the space that you want to light up, and this is a great way of decorating your home for the holidays. Love to use these outside. It's made by a company called Lumineo. Really, really cool light set. Again, they come in different sizes. They're also the ones that make that cluster light that fit right into a wreath, a garland. But what I love to do with these, I just did my home last weekend outside with these. And so the front of my house is, I think it's right about, let's say 60 feet, maybe 65 feet long. So what I did was I took these, I actually put two together. And so what it gives you is this really cool look. So what I'll do is I'll kind of twist this up here to show you. So that's what it looks like, is almost like a garland of light. And so what I did was I just hung it from one end to the other, and then I took it and just put it in some loops. Now you can stretch it straight across. You can change it. I actually took one strand and put it on my banister in the front of my house on the front porch, and I quadrupled it. So now it looks like a ton of lights. So let's see what that looks like. So I just take it, quadrupled it up, and then it's a huge grouping of lights. And it looks awesome at night. It looks just like a band of lights. Really, really pretty. You can still see each bulb, but I think I've got somewhere like 12,000 lights on the outside of my house because I use these, and they're so easy to use. You can wrap them up tree branches. They look amazing. You can use them on the front of your house on a banister. Just put it right around your door. I do these around my mom's door, and I just do them, right up the banister, around the door, and right back down again. Takes a couple strands. I wrap them together like this, and then each year when they come out, they don't tangle. Look at that. So I just twisted those all up. Every other light set would have gotten tangled. But each year that these come out, they don't tangle. And it's got 1,000 lights. So look at all that light. Amazing, amazing, amazing light set that I love to use around the home. Really, really cool. Look at that. That is awesome. 1,000 lights right here in my hand. They don't tangle. Really easy to use. They're unbreakable. They burn for 50,000 hours. So that's 6 years of constant burn. And so that means that if I left it on for 6 years, they would still not burn out. But you're only going to use them for a couple, months, which means they should last a long, long time. And they don't tangle, unbreakable, awesome. And they also have, which is kind of neat, is they have a little function box. So I can make them twinkle. I can make them do different things. They can do lots of little fade in and out, a little strobe light, but lots and lots of functions. And then they also have a built-in timer. So you see that green light? So I can hold my finger on it till it goes off. Timer's off. I can hold it again. Timer back on. So now it's going to run for 6 hours, be off for 18. I don't have to worry about getting an outdoor timer or anything. I can just plug these in, set them on my timer, and they all come on at the same time. And then they've got this great twinkle effect or just steady on. Lots and lots of different functions. I think there's 8 functions, so one for every day of the week. See if we can just get it back to steady on. So there we go. Really, really pretty light set. You can use these for so many different things around your home. And it's just kind of my new life hack because I wouldn't use any other light than this nowadays for my outdoor lighting. Also, we've got a new one this year. It's called LED Connect. So these are actually a little bit more spaced out. I think it's 3 inches between each bulb. So you get, let's see, I think it's 250 LEDs on 61 feet long. But you can connect up to 3,000 LEDs. So you can do what? That's 12 strands on one transformer. So I can really cover some ground. So let's say I'm doing the bushes in the front of my house. Let's say I'm doing any kind of other lighting that I might want to do. A little bit further spacing on each bulb. Let's see, I think it says 3 inches. Yep, 3 inches between each bulb. So it's a little bit further distance. So you're not going to get that garland of light that I'm going to get like with these, but you can connect a lot more so you can cover more ground. So if I was going to maybe light a tree, like a cut tree, and you want some really, really good, high-end, heavy-duty lights, this is a great option, and you can connect a bunch of strands together and have one plug at the end. Really, really easy light set. So I'm going to be talking about that in the future as I talk about how to light our outdoor spaces. Lots of different tips and techniques for that as well. But I love these lights, and every year I know we always pull out our lights and we say, man, I wish they weren't all tangled up. Well, now you got a solution. These are awesome. They never tangle. They never break. They never burn out. They are just awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome lights. So definitely want to come in and check those out. So learn how to shape your tree. Learn how to shape a wreath or garland. Use the Sensicles for that fresh cut smell. Using picks in the tree and ribbon in the tree. These are all techniques that I've learned here at the Garden Center over the years. Frosting your windows kind of gives you that fun look for the holidays. How to dress up a poinsettia very easily, especially if something happens to it and gets damaged. We can always dress it up with some pine cones and some fresh greens. Really adds a lot of texture. You can do that with a lot of different plants. And then if you need to invest in some new lights, these are the ones to get. They don't tangle, they never burn out, and they are awesome. So those are some of my favorite life hacks for this holiday season. I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. I hope that, let's see, I think Deborah has a question. I purchased a live tabletop holly tree and it has berries on it. What scent would you recommend purchasing? So it's kind of personal preference. I mean, holly doesn't typically have a specific smell. This one gives you that kind of winter fir smell. There's snowberry, which is really pretty, kind of adds a little of the winter fir with a little bit of berry smell to it. So this is a great little smell, but there's a couple other ones, and you can come in, and if you want to test them, just take the top off, give it a little smell which ones you like, and then you can pick out from there and go. But that's a great little hack. And of course we have the smell of the tree, the potpourri. We've got the spray. There's lots of different smells that you can do. Lots of different techniques and tricks here. There's even more that I probably couldn't even tell you about. There's so many different things that we've learned here through the years. So if you've got questions, definitely come in, ask us the questions. And you know, we've been helping people decorate their homes since 1945. So over 75 years of decorating homes for the holiday season. Come in and check us out. We've got so much going on here at the store. I hope you all have a great day. I hope that these life hacks helped you out for your holiday decorating season. Use some of these Invisalights. They're awesome. They're so easy to use. Light up your holidays. Freshen it up with some fresh greens. Shape up all your lifelike and artificial wreaths and garlands and trees. Hopefully this helps. I hope you all have a great day. I hope to see you over the weekend. I'll be here. So come and check us out here at McDonald Garden Center. Everybody have a great day. Thanks again.